3, 2, 1,
jingle! Happy time has just begun. Brother, sister, smart, dumb, fun.
Yeah.
Look, you guys, we have company today. Company. That's right, you guys. Happy Sunday. We have our Gen X-Perts with us today. Hey, you guys, Gen X-Perts, Jim and Tammy, what do you think of our music?
Love it.
I'm digging it.
That's right.
Hip-hop music.
The Ballad of the Brother Sisters by Mad Max Caselli. That's right, our music expert. So there you go.
That's good.
Yeah,
He's very good.
he is, isn't he? I know we
He's
told
one
him
of those-
last time-
Cute little Z's, you know, little Gen Z there. So adorbs. You just want to like eat him with a spoon.
So yes, hey everybody, it's Sunday. It is July 14th, and it's hot.
Can you believe it's already the
No.
middle of the month?
I cannot. I cannot. And it's, I can't. Time goes so fast now as an old person. So
Exactly.
Yes.
so yes, we're here. We are celebrating with Jim and Tammy Peters, who are our Gen Experts. And we were talking about some really good stuff today. We are reliving our past with the 70s and 80s. We're going to be doing some Mount Rushmore stuff. So yeah. Anyway, Jim is my brother-in-law. Tammy's my sister-in-law, and they're just all around fun people. They're coming to us from somewhere in the state of Missouri, I think.
Yes, we are in Missouri today.
Chesterfield,
you guys have been-
Missouri.
You guys have been traveling so much, so I know,
Yeah.
which is the greatest thing ever. So
It certainly is.
We are in
Yeah.
Chesterfield today.
Chesterfield, that is your home. That is great.
Yes.
So, well, hey, cool. Yeah, it's warm today, and it's supposed to be warm, and I'm like, oh, it's so hot. But then you have to say to yourself, hey, it's July, dummy. So
Yeah, it's not overly hot. It's just July in, Michigan, which is moist.
Yes.
It's like that
yeah,
here
it's-
too.
Very humid.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, squishy. I think dew point, I wanted to say, was 71 the last time I checked, which is,
Yeah,
squishy.
I think it was like 74 here. So it's
Yes.
it's just the
Well,
way.
I'm a little bit grouchy today. I was telling my sister earlier that so I got home late last night anyway because we went and saw a really great show in Williamston. We went and saw Predictor at the Williamston Theater. So if you get a chance to go see that show, it runs through August 4th. You should go see it. If you're a woman, it will infuriate you and make you so furious. And yeah. Anyway, but got home last night about 11:30, and everybody on my block was partying. So I have neighbors, two sets of neighbors to my south that are they're pretty partyish anyway, but they were banging last night. I don't know what the occasions were, but there was basketball on the street, there was weed, there was music, all kinds. There was rap music, there was Mexican music. It was amazing. And the party didn't really break up till about 2:30 when it finally just started thunderstorming, and I was kind of like, oh, thank God.
Maybe that's what they were calling. They were calling the rain gods to rain, and it worked.
No, it did.
And it
It's been raining a lot here. So I don't know what it's been like down in Missouri, but up here it's been super rainy. So we
Well,
had
I
a
think
drought last summer. Not so much this summer.
Not so much there. I think we can thank Beryl for a barrel of rain. So
Barrel
We had that.
came through here too.
Yes,
Yep.
sure did. Whole day.
How much did you guys get?
It wasn't horrible. 2.5 inches,
Yeah.
something like that.
Still had a
It
little
was
bit of
actually well timed, and we needed it.
We needed it, but there was still some
Nice.
flooding in certain parts of the city, but nothing like the 100-year flood we experienced in 2017
And 2018.
and 2018. Two of them
Hey.
in a year and a half. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, cool. I'm glad everybody survived. Beryl, you don't get a lot of hurricanes that have a little punch to them that make it all the way up to the Midwest, but we did this year. So, yay.
Yeah.
The conditions have to be just right. But,
Mhm.
Yeah.
there you go. All right. So, shall we get into it, everybody?
Let's do
do
it.
this.
I'm going to say we got a lot to talk about. So, let's jump in. All right. So again, you guys, we're doing 2 Mount Rushmores today. We are Mount Rushmoring the sitcoms of both the 1970s and the 1980s, because why wouldn't you talk about such things? Because people love that stuff. Hey, we got some commentary. Oh, look, it's Joe Peters. Oh, Jake Peters is with us.
Cool.
Jake Peters wants to know who's the old guy.
That's probably either Jefferson or Washington.
Nice
And
one.
Jacob, you'll speak when you're spoken to, pal.
Oh, dude, he just got put down. For those of you that might be wondering, Jake Peters is the son. He is the firstborn child of Jim and Tammy Peters, and who thinks he's funny? Thinks he's
Uh-huh.
funny. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
he ain't funny. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and give you our synopsis. Anne, would you like to take us through our synopsis this week? This is for anybody that doesn't know who we are.
I would love to. So here's our synopsis. We're Anne and Ginny's brothers. Our last name is Brothers, and we are sisters. I mean, how cuckoo banana pants is that, right?
We didn't even make that up for TV or anything.
Exactly. Born that way. We're in our 50s, so Generation X, which means that everyone who had a hand in raising us smoked. And when I was 4 years old, my brand was going to be Cool Menthol when I grew up.
For me,
That was one of the first words I learned to read was cool.
with a K.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was the
yeah.
cigarette of choice for our emphysemic asthmatic mother. So
Mhm.
awesome.
Awesome. Exactly.
Oh boy.
Our dad, he
Labor
smoked a pipe.
country.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so for me, I wanted to be a pipe smoker, and I wanted to smoke Borgum Riff just like my dad, because I loved the smell of that stuff.
That's funny.
You know, what's funny is that one time when Jenny and I were in elementary school, we rode our bikes to the local grocery store and bought our dad tobacco for Father's Day. And the lady at the cashier was like, "What you guys buying this for?" And we're like, "For Dad for Father's Day." She's like, "Oh, that's so cute."
My mom used to send me into the store with a note and $15 to buy our carton of cigarettes.
Oh my God, that's
And they
amazing.
would sell it to me. I was like 8 years old.
Yeah, exactly. It was like they just thought that was adorable. I was like,
Yeah.
"Wow, elementary school kids buying
Yeah.
tobacco."
Is
Ryan
that
Smith's
after you rode in the back shelf of the car on the way to the store?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
rode our bikes. You know, that was how cute it was. You know, it's like that. If that isn't Gen X, man, I don't know what the hell is.
Totally.
Exactly. Yeah.
Uphill
So-
both ways.
Mhm.
Yep. So, but no, seriously, bikes were freedom. I can remember getting my first bike in first grade, and man, it was just like, somebody just through the
Open-
gates of openness, and it was just gone. So
Exactly.
yeah. But anyway, yes, and it was cool for me. It was Borkum Riff, so whiskey flavor tobacco. Because that's what
Exactly.
it is. Sorry, Ann. Go ahead. Keep
Oh,
going.
no,
Keep
that's
going.
okay. We talk about smart stuff, dumb stuff, fun stuff, or any combination of the three. And we are not cool, hip, or sexy. We know this because we love activities that include safety glasses. Like, oh, yay,
Yes.
I get to keep these, you know? So, yes, if it includes safety glasses, Jenny and I are 100% in. We're not
100%
as
in.
We're not a celebrity, influencer, or true crime podcast. We're the love boat of podcasts. There's a new adventure every week.
That's right.
We are great to listen to when you want to learn things about stuff. And because you keep hearing about podcasts and you want to try one out, we are the fun, accessible gateway podcast that will lead you into other more dark and mysterious podcasts. This podcast is not GPG or even PG-13. We are grown, talking to other grown people. So fuck yeah. And you can join us on our website, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Like us, follow us, hit the bell, leave us a review, give us your feedback with our questions and answers and our polls. And if you ask nicely, Alexa will play us.
She knows us. We're in her mouth. That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. We're in
Exactly.
her mouth. That's right.
Yeah.
That's good.
We're the party. We're the party in her mouth, and everybody is invited.
High five. Let's go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Love that.
All right.
Well done. Okay, let's go back to the PG-13 thing, because Ann and I were actually asked to speak to a middle school class about podcasting this week.
Uh-huh.
And so we showed them our podcast, but we could not play our podcast for them.
Oh boy.
It's like, it's not gross, but I can't tell you when the next F-bomb will come.
There might be an F-bomb. Sometimes there's an S-bomb.
Mhm.
There's usually an S-bomb. Okay, so yeah, just know that could happen. So earmuff your children if they're listening, or like I always say, just let them listen because then there's things to talk about.
Mhm.
A Gensbert. I like it, Jake. I like it.
I'm sorry, that sounds like some sort of night emission thing.
So Jake Peters, that begs the question because we have millennial experts. I've asked my friends Amber and Adam to be our millennial experts because they're both old millennials. They're literally born like the year millennials started. So Jake, I guess you and Sarah are going to have to be no. Sarah's going to have to be our young millennial expert, and you and Devin are going to have to be our Gensperts because even though that does not sound right, now that you said it, Ann, I can't unthink that.
Sorry, not sorry.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
The
let me know when
Gensbert,
he's going to
like
be
this
on
thing?
because I need to taunt him too. Right back.
Yes, you should absolutely heckle him. I will let you know. So
Mhm.
there you go. All right, good. Just remember, you guys, you can support us for absolutely free. You don't have to give us any money, even if you might want to. You can
Mhm.
just follow us, subscribe, like, leave a review on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, wherever you get your content. Just go on there, click a like, leave us a review. Stuff like that. It's easy. You can do it. All right. Let's talk about smart, dumb, fun stuff from this week and make it happen.
All right, so I did something smart this week, and I through another book I was it was recommended that if I like horror, I should read two books by Octavia Butler were recommended to me, and when I got on my Audible, they were part of my free. They're free for me, so I'm like, okay, so I'm almost finished with Parable of the Sower, and I am Octavia Butler is my new cult leader. And as Black people have been reading Octavia Butler for almost 40 years. And now this middle aged white lady finally discovers her. And I was like, I will listen to this book 1,000 times and we'll probably buy a copy of it and we'll listen to all of her books now. It's a dark, hard read. So if you need something light, she's not your author. But if you want, some really fascinating stories and just a beautiful language that it's written in, her writing is beautiful, then Octavia Butler, start with Parable of the Sower. And oh man, I am addicted to this right now. And I can't wait to hear it again. So that's the thing. I was like, I'm going to finish the reading of this and then I'm going to start right over again. So yeah, it's thick and juicy and delicious and amazing. And I feel bad that I've gotten to this far. And this is the first time I've ever read/listened to one of her books. So smart thing to do, listen to or read Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler.
Well, and the real tragedy would be if you had never read her at all. So maybe you're getting to her late, but you got to her. So good job.
Exactly. How about
Pat
you,
yourself
Jenny
on the back.
Brothers?
Well, my fun thing was that I got to see my husband last week, which was amazing. I went to Wisconsin. So Wisconsin, you're still beautiful. But then on the way back, I decided to, rather than drive through the hell that is Chicago. Oh, Chicago.
Mhm.
Oh, how I love you as a city and hate driving through you. Triggered. Sorry. So instead, I decided to drive up through the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and stop for a couple nights in Marquette. I love Marquette so much. And one of the things that I love to do more than anything in Marquette is to eat at a restaurant called Lagniappe, which is a Cajun and Creole restaurant. And I swear to God, I will put that restaurant against any place I have ever eaten in New Orleans, Louisiana. Not even kidding. It's so good. In fact, I would say it's my favorite restaurant in all of Michigan. And it's a Cajun and Creole restaurant, and their food is delicious. So flavorful, so wonderful. My favorite thing to get there is just a bowl of their seafood bisque. It is spicy, it is flavorful, and then you get the little fried garlic cheddar grit cakes that go with it. And I do not love grits, but those grit cakes will literally make you believe in God if you don't believe in God, or transport you to some divine universe that maybe you believe in. I don't know. All I know is that if you're in the UP, go to Marquette, go to Lagniappe. Here's the thing about it. It's not a really fancy place. It's down in the basement of a place. It's kind of dumpy looking, but their food is amazing and their bar is excellent. They make just an outstanding Sazerac. Again, I would put it up against any Sazerac I had when I was traipsing around New Orleans. and it is my favorite thing. And I'm so glad I get to go there. I got to go there, and I get to go there again in like 2 weeks. Because Ann and I are going on our Uperlite trip. So
And I'm
there you
going
go.
to.
So yeah, if you get it up there, go. I know they've been having a little bit of trouble with something that happened, an incident, so they're closed until Tuesday, which is weird. Some sort of they were threatened or something, which is fucked up beyond measure. Because that is a really great establishment, and from what I understand, the people that own it are also really great people. So hopefully they get that straightened out. I hope so.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, that's my fun thing. Great cakes. Hey, let's talk. Oh, you know what? Before we get started, Jim and Tammy, I need to hear a smart, a dumb, or a fun thing from each of you. Go.
Okay. That we did this week? Does it have to be this week?
Just whatever. It doesn't even have to be this week. It could be
Okay, I think ours
anything
would be
that's
the same.
happened.
Or fun.
Yeah.
Go
10
for
day.
it. Yeah.
Okay, we just did a fun 10-day trip where we chased a little bit of music. We went to Poplar Bluff, Missouri for the Rock the Country Festival.
Great.
2-day festival. It was
Yeah.
100 degrees.
It was
We
the
rocked-
surface of the sun.
We were off the surface of the sun. It was
We
great.
did. Yeah.
You are stronger than I. Much stronger.
Ugh.
Okay, so
Stop
all
it.
right, what was something that was surprising out of that festival, other than the fact that you decided to go sit on the sun for 2 days?
Hank Williams Jr.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We
Much
knew
better than I thought he would
he's
do.
an icon.
Yeah.
We knew it, but he stole the
rocked it.
show.
Yeah.
He was great.
It was amazing.
Yep.
So great.
Amazing.
Here's to the old guys. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's right. He represented.
Yep.
That was
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I agree with Jim. That was the big surprise for me too, because I thought I'd be like, I'm not a big fan of Hank Williams Jr., but I walked away a fan. He was amazing.
Okay.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, that was
Some
fun.
guys
Then we
are-
headed to Nashville right after that. In our camper, by the way. This was in our camper so far. And then we brought the camper home. And then our friends have a fabulous pool that we hung out at for the 4th of July. And then head over to Kansas City to see Kenny Chesney and Zach Brown.
Okay.
It's 10 days.
Any surprise?
Lots of fun.
Who was better, Kenny Chesney or Zach Brown?
Zach Brown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Pretty much. He's just great. It's
It's just electric. And that smile. That smile.
one of the most, if not the most talented band I've ever seen. Like
Yeah.
all the way across the board. Super
Every member of
talented.
the band. Amazing. Yeah.
Okay. We got Mickey Morris with us. Mickey, I'm assuming you're talking about Hank Williams Jr., Country Boy Will Survive.
There you
Is
go.
Is that what I'm going? Okay. All right. Mickey, hey girl. Mickey's coming to us from Tennessee.
Hey.
Right on. Excellent.
Mickey or Michelle? You call her Mickey?
Well, it's Michelle. I went to school, went to Eastern Michigan University, and she goes by Michelle on the Facebook, but I knew her as Mickey when we were at EMU together in
Hey, Mickey.
Jones Goddard dorm. May it rest in peace. Jones Goddard was actually demolished this week, which is
no.
it hurts my heart just thinking about it. So yeah,
Right?
I had so
know,
much
but,
sex in Jones.
What is that?
It was the smart people dorm. I wasn't a smart people, but
Oh,
I knew some smart people there.
so funny.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Are
for,
we
for the
on?
record, I had no sex in Jones Goddard at all. 0 sex was had by me in Goddard. Okay, or Jones.
Oh, wow. Sweet, sweet youth.
Yeah, so that, and honestly, that kind of sums up who Ann and I were when we were younger. I'm like, just saying. Okay.
Mm.
Yes, Mickey, I would agree. Childhood dying brick by brick. That one hurt, man. Yes. So now that yes, Mickey, I had no sex and got her. So what can I say? I was too busy studying. Anyway, all right, not bitter, a little bit. Damn it. Anyway, all right. So Jim, so you guys, you're good. You got your smart, dumb, fun thing done. So. See, Mickey, I wasn't alone. Okay, good. I'm pretty sure most of us that hung out together were pretty much doing the same thing, which was not having sex. Okay, good. All right, so we're going to talk now. What inspired this? And what inspired us to do a Mount Rushmore on 60s or 70s and 80s sitcoms?
We were talking about what we could do Mount Rushmores on. You were like, what could, and I was like, and that's, it got me thinking, and I was like, I bet people have lots of opinions about 70s and 80s. I was thinking just television shows, but I'm like, no, we'll have to break it up into 2 because sitcoms and then, hour-long dramas or hour-long stuff would have to be its own, its own show because there's too much going on with all of that. So that's kind of
Agreed.
how I was like, yeah, I was just trying to think of other, what would people argue about when it comes to popular culture? And that just popped into my head.
Well, we got the middle school kids arguing about Muppets the other day. So they,
Yes.
even though they're young, they have strong opinions about
They
Muppets. That's for sure.
They did.
Hey,
Were you able to show them that episode? I don't think we
No.
cussed in that one.
No, they don't get to watch our show.
Did we
They're,
cuss in that
Oh.
one? Because we were in that one. Did we cuss in that one?
Yeah, you guys were guests from that show. Mm-hmm.
I don't
We
know. I
were.
don't know if you cussed or not, but we probably did. You guys
Oh,
probably
You
kept it
probably
clean.
did.
You
Probably.
Yeah, but we probably, like
You
what
can't
can I
get
say?
that impassioned and not drop a few, swears.
It's
That's
true.
right.
Mhm.
It's true. All right, so Tammy, we're starting with you. I hope you're okay
All right.
kicking this off.
All right.
This is Tammy's Mount Rushmore of 1970s sitcoms. Make it happen.
All right. Okay. So how deep do we want to go on this? So All in the Family. We all know that. Not sure that show could be made today with its
Oh,
with its
absolutely not.
theme of well, I found this interesting. I found this on the online today that the very first episode, which was the pilot episode, and actually the third pilot that they filmed, that they finally decided on Sally Struthers and Rob Reiner to play Gloria and Mike, Meathead, to those who love the show. It started with this little disclaimer. It said this: the program you're about to see is All in the Family. It seeks to throw a humor. This is really small print, so I'm having a hard time reading. It seeks to throw a humorous spotlight on our frailties, prejudices, and concerns by making them a source of laughter. We hope to show in a mature fashion just how absurd they are. So that shows you right there from the jump. It was basically a satire of all the ridiculous issues of racism, anti-Semitism, women's rights at the time, abortion, at that time, the Vietnam War. All these things we're still dealing with today. The war is not the same, but we're still dealing with war, but we're still dealing with all the other issues I had mentioned. And it was Norman Lear's way of just, this is ridiculous, and we're going to show you how ridiculous it is. And he gave us Archie Bunker to do that. So what a great actor to play Archie Bunker too. He was great. And that was Carol O'Connor. Yeah.
So great.
Yep. As I mentioned, we had Sally Struthers as Gloria, and Rob Reiner played his son-in-law, Mike, and called him Meathead. And then there was, Gene Stapleton played Edith. It sprung many, many, many successful spinoffs. We had the Jeffersons. We got Maude. We got Good Times. With some of the other.
There's like 7 of them.
7. Archie Bunker's Place. I have notes in my lap. Sorry if I'm looking down.
That's okay.
Checking In, which I don't remember this one, but it was from 1981. Gloria, and 704 Hauser, which I don't remember that one either. But obviously, we all remember the Jeffersons, Maude, and Good Times. Also should be on these lists as well. Then my second one was MASH. MASH stands for, I don't know if anybody knows this, but it's an acronym for the Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. And it was the mobile hospital of the 4077th. It was more of a dramedy, so we had a lot of ridiculous humor and comedy, but we also had a lot of tragic drama at the same time. Their finale is still to this day the #1 episode ever aired and watched by the United States.
Everybody
Yeah.
Watched it.
Yeah.
Not even Friends, not even Seinfeld, not even Game of Thrones was able to overcome that. So they are still the #1 final show. Then, of course, Happy Days. I think every one of us had Happy Days on our TV sets every night it aired. Fun fact, Gary Marshall created that show. It had some moderate success its first year, but then in the second season, it started to kind of wane a little bit in the ratings. And that's when he started to turn his focus onto Fonzie. At the time, was just a character that sort of showed up every now and then. He wasn't a feature character. And once you made him a feature character, the show became the most successful show of the 70s. That's another little fun fact I found regarding that show. And of course, that gave us the beloved Henry Winkler and Ron Howard. Tom Bosley was in that show, which, interesting enough, was also considered for Archie Bunker for All the Family.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So funny. Never could picture that.
No, it was him and Jackie Gleason. Now, Jackie Gleason, I could have seen playing that role, but it almost feels like it was too much like his honeymooner role. So I'm kind of glad that they went with Carol O'Connor. Then my last one, I'm not sure everybody agrees with this one, but for whatever reason, this show just stuck with me a lot. I loved this show, Welcome Back, Kotter. Cotter. It takes place in a high school. A graduate from the high school comes back 10 years later to teach the remedial class, who nickname themselves the Sweat Hogs. Okay, now the principal of the show dismisses them, figures they're going to be dropouts or they're going to get arrested, so he just wants Mr. Cotter to kind of contain them. In the meantime, he develops a really great relationship with all of them, and to the point where he actually starts to see potential in them and they see their own potential. And of course, who can forget Up Your Nose with a Rubber Hose? And we get John Travolta from this great little sitcom. So
We sure did.
70 picks. Now, Jim agreed with me in the first 3, but he had one different one for number 4, and there's his.
True that. True that. I don't want to rehash everything Tammy said. She did an amazing job researching and finding fun facts on all of these things. But All in the Family, arguably 2 of the greatest characters you'll ever see, and then bouncing off of one another with Archie and Edith. Edith is underrated on every level. She is just phenomenal.
She's an amazing straight woman.
Terrific in her role. Who didn't love MASH? Happy Days. Oh my goodness. Now Sanford and Son to me is just that show. I think Fred G. Sanford might be the funniest guy I've ever seen on TV. Now again, this is another series that likely could not be reproduced again today, because it dealt with some racial issues, so to speak. And by the way, Mickey, hey, 2 things on the song. Number 1, Quincy Jones wrote the theme song to Sanford and Son, and Jimmy Fallon, just like 2 days ago on his show, named it the greatest song ever. So there.
Yeah.
So we love us some Sanford and Son. I think Fred G is just my hero, man. I love him. I love him.
Another great show from Norman Lear, Sanford and Son. And it was NBC's answer to All in the Family at that time. So, yeah.
Very good.
Street Beater. That's right. Quincy Jones, composer. Yeah.
Way to go, Mickey.
Yep, indeed. I actually got hooked on Sanford and Son when I was in college. It was one of those shows that I would come back between classes and it would be on, WKBD out of Detroit. So I'd sit and watch it and be like, yeah, this show's actually really funny, And there was a couple different shows that I came late to the game with. Sanford and Son is one of those shows but it was just, actually really, really cool show. Really great.
One thing that I also noticed in all of our picks, in all of our mine and Jim's, every single one of these had at least one spinoff, if not more. Not all successful, but most of them did have some successful ones. We already mentioned All in the Family. Of course, MASH had Trapper John MD.
That's right.
Good show.
Yeah, let me find the other ones. It has Trapper John MD. It had called an After MASH. I think that was with Colonel Potter and O'Reilly and
Klinger was in that.
Klinger.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember Klinger. And then there was one that didn't get picked up, and it was called Walter, and it never got picked up. But it was an effort there on their part to bring back O'Reilly. What was the second one I had? Was Happy Days, of course, gave us Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy, which was another great show. We'll get to that later. And then the one that I'm like, Joni Loves Chachi.
Not great.
Yeah, no.
Not great.
No, not great. So,
yeah.
Well, the end of Happy Days, that was a wheezing gas bag at the end. That was bad.
Well, that's where
That is so true.
That's where that it's Jump the Shark. That comes from Happy Days, because remember when Fonzie jumps the shark? It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So now that's a term that's used today. Oh, Jim just disappeared. I'm not sure why. Anyway, that's a term that's used today when a show sort of goes off the deep end. They'll say, "Oh boy, they've jumped the shark," and that comes from Fonzie surviving.
Literally jumping a shark in his leather jacket.
In his leather jacket.
I'm not even watching it, and I can't watch. Okay.
When I was a little girl, I was the same way.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yes.
That's hilarious. Now, my only issue with Happy Days is that it's aged badly. So, that's one of those shows that, and the thing is, I haven't seen Sanford and Son or All in the Family in years, so I don't know how they how they've aged, but man, Happy Days has not aged well. All right, Mickey's got something to say. When they ended Joni Loves Chachi, I wrote ABC. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Mickey Morris says, "Listen, when they ended Joni Loves Chachi, I wrote ABC a letter in all of my tween age outrage." Dude, you were passionate, you know.
Exactly. I was going to say, I remember all the popular girls in 5th grade loved that show, and it was past my bedtime, so I never watched it.
Yeah, we had a hard,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
not
in
missing much.
Cynthia, yeah, in Cynthia and Mike's household, there was hard bedtime. There was no soft bedtime. It was
Mhm.
bed fucking time. So
Mhm.
yeah, all right,
Oh, funny.
all right. So let's see what else you guys threw at us here. Oh, I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, Jenny,
Yeah.
it's
All right,
your turn.
all right. So for me, the one show that I never missed was the Carol Burnett Show, and I don't know if you would consider that to be a sitcom or it was probably more of a variety show, but it was a sitcom for me, and it was one of those shows where I knew I was funny when I was a little girl, but I don't know how I knew. And this show taught me how to be funny because everything she was doing on that show was the funniest thing she'd ever seen, and everything that everybody else on that show was doing was the funniest thing ever. And I just loved it so much, and I just couldn't wait to just sit and. I can remember sometimes watching it by myself and just not making a sound because I didn't want to miss anything. Even though I really wanted to laugh, I'm like, no, I'm going to miss something if I laugh. So not and just learning about, comic timing and watching what everybody would do and how they would do it. And I just was like, it was like an instruction manual of just how to be funny. So that show was it for me. MASH, I don't even know what to say about MASH. All I did was watch MASH. There was always a MASH rerun on somewhere. So you just, and you started to have episodes that you've seen 100 times, 1,000 times. The Mary Tyler Moore Show. This is another show that I came late to the game with. This is another one of those shows that I did not discover till I was in college, and I was like, "Girls, where have you been all my life?" So, yeah, Mary Tyler Moore Show, and again, one of those shows that kind of crossed some lines, and it was a real, I think, just kind of an ode to the way things were changing for women in the 70s. And my fourth pick, and this one might be controversial, I'm going with Fat Albert because when I was a kid, you'd watch Saturday morning cartoons, and kind of one of the first ones on in the day was Fat Albert, and I really loved it. I loved the fact that it was unfamiliar to me. I didn't really understand a lot of what I was seeing, but I really never missed it because I liked some things that I was learning from it. So Fat Albert was a big one for me as a kid, and that one has stayed with me for years. So Fat Albert. There's my 1970s sitcoms. We have Michelle with us. Mickey saying nothing better than Tim Conway knowing he had everyone close to
Oh,
breaking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah. If there's
Yeah.
anybody younger on who doesn't know what we're talking about, just look up Tim Conway Elephant and
Oh my
sit back
God.
and you will die laughing. There's nothing
Or
funny.
Tim Conway Dentist.
When
Yeah.
Conway had the death grips on Harvey Korman, forget about it.
The
It was over.
dentist one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So well done. I totally agree. But yeah, there's my Mount Rushmore of 1970s sitcoms. And honestly, for me, the one that's far and away is definitely the Carol Burnett Show. So, okay, Ann Brothers, it's you.
Okay, so mine are in no particular order, and I have an asterisk with all of my 1970s sitcoms, and for the following reasons. One, I was aged 0 to 10 in the 1970s, which means I was not sophisticated. There was only one TV in our home, and after 5 p.m., we had no say as to what was on that TV. The brothers, sisters had a strict 9 p.m. bedtime, and my knowledge of most 1970s sitcoms is based on reruns. So other than Happy Days, which we got to watch because it was like on at 8, it was like 8, and then Laverne and Shirley was on at 8:30. But if anything was on after 9, like MASH or All in the Family, we did not get the chance to watch those until I was an adult. Like I said, mine are in no particular order. I remember MASH reruns having a very profound effect on me when I was in upper elementary and later middle school, just because I loved Lieutenant Major, or what was her name? Margaret Swift's character.
Houlihan.
Yeah,
Margaret
I
Houlihan.
loved
Yeah.
her
Hot Lips.
so much.
Houlihan.
Yeah, there were so few, like, here was a war story, and it, it featured these women, and so that was really important to me. Plus, it was funny, so I learned a lot about dark humor. With MASH, that dark humor was funny if you could figure it out. So that was one thing that I learned about that. Of course, the Carol Burnett show, that's where I learned about physical comedy and how funny women could be. So I owe, Carol Burnett and Lucille Ball were big influences on me. Of course, All in the Family, that is something I did not watch until I was older. It was past my bedtime. My parents thought it was too mature for us. But though I have less experience with that show, I see how that show influenced shows that I like now. I mean, if it wasn't for All in the Family, we wouldn't have other, dark, absurd comedies based on families, and that's they gave birth to that. Before that, we always had Father Knows Best and My Three Sons and Happy Days. This introduced us to the true dynamic of families, and I see that reflected in television shows 50 years later. And then, of course, Happy Days, because that was one that Jenny and I got to watch on primetime.
Yes.
It was Fonzie was cool. Everybody was cool. The 50s, and you could see this. It's funny. You can see Happy Days, the nostalgia of the 50s creeping into the 70s, which really had a big effect on shows in the 80s and 90s. That sort of clean, Carol Burnett, MASH, All in the Family, Sanford and Son, Welcome Back, Kotter. Those were all messy. They were messy shows. And Happy Days was clean and tidy. And we saw that clean and tidy really wash over into the 80s. So, you don't see the gritty stuff coming in again until the late 90s and into the aughts. I think Happy Days had a real effect. We're like, oh, we just want to go back when everything was nice. And so, those are my shows. Like I said, no particular order. And it's very, very much the fact that I was watching these shows as an older person, mostly not when I was a kid. So that's, that really, affected what I chose for this.
Nice.
Mhm.
So let's kind of talk about that. And you actually segued into that really nice. The fact that if you look at shows from the 70s versus the shows from the 80s, they're damn near unrecognizable.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
it was like overnight, we went from shows like All in the Family, shows like The Jeffersons, shows like Good Times, and then we turned right around and we ended up with Family Ties and The Cosby Show, and these really
Right.
Growing
we
pains.
returned to that idyllic
Mhm.
kind of almost 50-ish in terms of how we dealt with our TV content. It was really they're very different. It's like comparing apples to oranges in terms of these two different decades for sitcom television. So yeah. Who's kicking this one off? Looks like Jim and Tammy, you guys are kicking this off together. You guys combined forces on this one. Let's have it.
Well, we have the same. We
agreed.
Okay.
We agreed.
I know the Cosby Show, some people maybe disagree with that because of now what we know about Bill Cosby, but I love it's on reruns now. I still watch it. It is so funny. TV Guide rated as one of the best shows of the 80s. Let me see. I had another fun fact. In 2014, they also said that Cliff Huxtable is the greatest TV dad of all time. That was in 2014 that they said that.
Wow.
And coincidentally was the same year that All the Ugly came out about him. So it's unfortunate about what's, we found out about him, but we still have other cast of characters that were funny and, deserve what the show was. And
Felicia Rashad was
she played a
unreal.
great mother,
Awesome.
successful mother. It showed, an African-American family that was successful and the kids, everybody was great on that show. I just loved it. Rudy was the cutest thing ever. And it was just an amazing show. And then we had Cheers.
Man.
Cheers is another one. It, coincidentally, its first year almost didn't survive. They were on the brink of being canceled because they came in last in the ratings. But they gave them another chance, and all of a sudden it became a juggernaut. And everybody tuned into, what do they call it, Must-See TV. Cheers was a part of that. Takes place in a bar in Boston that's run by a womanizing ex-relief pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, his staff, and his regulars. And then just, everything ensues from there. We got love stories and breakups, and it's just, we have sayings that everybody says when they walk in the bar. Norm,
Norm.
We got the postman that, always has these crazy, weird facts.
Yeah.
And we got great great movie stars from the show. Ted Danson became an amazing star. Woody Harrelson came from here. Christy Alley, whom I forget, Frasier was Kelsey Grammer.
Mhm.
We had a great cast of characters, great actors.
Shelley Long.
All of which had amazing careers after Cheers ended. Family Ties was a great twist on liberal baby boomer hippies having conservative children and dealing with life in the family where nobody agrees on politics, and takes place and in the 80s and glorifies the capitalism and the conservatism of Reaganomics at the time. And that was Alex Keaton, who was Michael J. Fox, another amazing actor who went on to do great things and done a lot of great stuff for Parkinson's disease. His sister Mallory was played by Justin Bateman's sister, Justine Bateman, excuse me. Totally opposite of Alex. She wasn't very smart. All she was into was her girlfriends and her fashion, and she left a lot of fodder and jokes for Alex to sort of pick on her. It was very funny. And then the youngest sister was just a tomboy, just wanting to enjoy life. And later in life, they had another kid, which by then I wasn't really watching, so I have not much to say about the fourth child. I think
don't
that was
even
one
know
of
the
those
kid's
jump the
name.
shark moments. We got to save the
We
show.
need somebody cute.
Let's throw another kid in there. And then, of course, the Golden Girls, who can not like the Golden Girls. It's so funny. What I really loved about this show is all these women were at a time in their careers where a lot of Hollywood people would say, no, you're too old. And they both gave, or all four of them gave such amazing performances in the show. And they proved all the Hollywood wrong, that women of a certain age can still be amazing actresses and still carry a show. And the humor there was just, and who doesn't love Bea Arthur? She's a great, great actress. But who doesn't like Betty White, which I found out in my research today that Bea Arthur and her had a little feud going on behind the scenes. So I was shocked to know that. I was like, how do you not like Betty White?
Come on, B. Don't be a B.
They're both alphas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was shocking to me that those gals did not get along. But what a great show. It also,
You've obviously never been in a show with a bunch of women before.
well, I've worked in an office with a bunch of women, so you're right. I'm surprised I did not.
Yeah.
And all these shows again had spin-offs. The Cosby Show, of course, had the different world. They sent Denise to college. Cheers gave us Frasier, which is another amazing show that lasted forever. Family Ties gave us a show that was not successful. It was based on Mallory's boyfriend, Here Comes Nick, or something like that. And then the Golden Girls gave us Empty Nest and Golden. Let's see, I don't remember Golden Gate or Golden. I mean, I got to find it. I'm sorry, it's in my notes. But Empty Nest had Kirstie Alley.
Forget about Empty Nest.
Yeah, do you remember that show? It's from there.
Yeah.
Golden Girls, Mallory. Nope, that's not it. Golden. Oh my gosh, where are my notes? Sorry. Golden Palace. Because I think Bea Arthur left the show, and so Golden Palace was based on the other three ladies. And
okay.
They stayed together. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's my 80s.
Excellent.
Our 80s.
Our 80s. Sorry, our 80s.
Your combined 80s. Well done.
Yes.
This is your honorable mention and Splitsies page. I'm going to come back to that if that's okay with you. Because
Absolutely.
I think this is what we're talking about. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, I mean, I can't do better than the Golden Girls as far as the 80s. If for nothing else, just Bea Arthur's shoulder pads. Okay, those by themselves should have.
Yeah.
If you want a spinoff, Bea Arthur's shoulder pads should have gotten a spinoff. That's all I know. Okay. Oh wait, we got Judy Peters with us. Joined in late. Favorite 70s sitcoms: Good Times at Jefferson's, Brady Bunch, and Alice. Ooh, Alice, good one.
Yeah.
Favorite 70s variety shows: Hee Haw, Sonny and Cher, Carol Burnett Show, and Donnie and Marie. So she has a whole. Judy has made an entire variety show category. Well done.
Yes.
Thanks, Judy.
Well done, Judy. Hey, girl. Mickey has also added that hers 80s sitcoms: MASH, Cheers, Designing Women, Cosby Show, Mr. Cosby's Issues noted. Duly noted. Yes, he got an asterisk from me, that's for sure. So my list with Golden Girls. So one of the reasons I love Golden Girls is because they are still, you can't go on to, cable television and not find, an entire day's worth of Golden Girls episodes. And what's really cool about it is that you have this particular group of women for a lot of 50 and 60 something women, you become this sort of invisible thing. And I think what was great is that they gave a voice and visibility to this particular age group of women, and not just that they're old. And this is a vibrant, hardworking, sexually active group of women that are, Hollywood would consider to be completely unfuckable, and yet they show that they are totally fuckable, which is a really big deal. So that's why this sitcom will always be, for me, the best sitcom ever to come out of the 80s, because it's one of those groups of people that we tend to stick in a corner and be like, go to your room, go to your nursing home and shut up about it. So that was huge to have that in our consciousness. Cheers was one of the best ensembles ever. And I think it's really interesting. Tina Fey references it in her book, Bossy Pants, that this is the best pilot ever, because she said, unlike most pilots, this was they figured it out literally from the first show. And so many levels of amazing comedy in this show, from your character actors like Norm and the guy that played Cliff, to your amazing like physical actors. Because one of the things I loved about Kirstie Alley in this show is that she's a great physical actress. She just shows so much emotion and physicality in her performance. Just fantastic. Shelley Long, on the other hand, has this very sophisticated, very cool way that she presents her comedy. And we don't know how brilliant Ted Danson is until we get to see his work in The Good Place. And then you're like, oh, because he's the dude that kind of keeps it all together. He is the straight man that keeps all of this weirdness going and together. And that's one of the things that's great about that you don't really notice about until you find out years later just what a talented dude he is. You want to see his comic chops, watch The Good Place, because he kills it in that show. And it's fun to watch him in that, and then watch him do his thing in Cheers. Cosby Show, again, groundbreaking. You cannot have a Mount Rushmore and not have the Cosby Show thoroughly on that list, regardless of it turns out how naughty Bill Cosby is or was. But again, you have to kind of look at the big picture. Was it love the sinner, hate the sin, love the sinner? I don't know what the saying is, but it's that. And for me, the last one on my list, and I went with a variety show on this one again, is the Tracy Ullman Show. Completely underrated, completely overlooked, I think, in terms of when you're talking about 80s shows. This was a variety show. Tracy Ullman, who was massive in England at the time, Fox decided that James Brooks and Fox said, hey, we want you to come over here. We think you're super talented. We want to build a show around you. Tracy Ullman Show is the first TV show from Fox that ever won an Emmy. It also gave birth to The Simpsons, because it was one of those things. They did the shorts. Paula Abdul did the choreography for their in-between skits for the Tracy Ullman Show. And Tracy Ullman kind of this show was popular enough and groundbreaking enough that it sort of paved the way for shows like In Living Color, Mad TV that came later. So you can kind of thank Tracy Ullman for that. And again, that's why I chose her for this, because in terms of characters, and again, in terms of women that taught me how to be funny, Tracy Ullman was one of those people. That is for sure. Okay, that's it for me. Now you, Anne.
All right, in no particular order, my very nostalgic pick is The Facts of Life. It's the twist on the orphans. You know how we're like, who didn't have a fantasy about being orphaned so that you could, do all the things you really wanted to do? And this was a twist on that. Like, these girls weren't orphans, but they were away from their parents, and how they behaved and problem solved and acted without parents monitoring them. And that was a fantasy of mine, I have to admit. So I loved watching these girls get in trouble, get out of trouble, do all kinds of hilarious stuff, and without any parental interference. I thought that was really awesome. Very nostalgic. Not a great show, very formulaic. The writing is basic at best. But when you're, a young teenager with no freedom, boy, they seem like they had it all. Of course, the Golden Girls, because again, talk about women who taught me how to be funny. And I loved these were fashionable, cool women. They weren't it wasn't four of the same women. They all had their each individual issues and problems and way of looking at life. And they came together beautifully. And, and it just shows like you can have, as really good performers and actors, professional, you can have a problem with the people you're working with and never have it show in your performance, because that's how professional and how good they were. So B. Arthur, she taught me how to be a straight woman. You know, she could be funny, but man, if she didn't make everybody else funnier just from her, you know, from her presence. Married with Children, not a brilliant show. The first couple seasons were great. It fell off the deep end and needed to be canceled way earlier than it did. But man, the gritty, dirty comedies that we have now, like you know, I think about like 30 Rock, I think about The Good Place, I think about any sort of show that is not clean and tidy owes a debt to Married with Children. So that's why I put them there. It wasn't probably the most popular show, but I think both Golden Girls and Married with Children really had an influence on other shows. They had an influence on other performers and other shows well past their prime. The Cosby Show I put down because the Cosby Show is America. We will forgive a lot if you will make us laugh and entertain us. And that is the quintessential what this is. That's why I made it on my Mount Rushmore, because this is quintessential American. If you can entertain us, whether you be an actor or a sports person, we will forgive a lot of sins or overlook them for as long as humanly possible. And of course, you know, for its time, everybody on the show was so cool. That's why I loved it. One, it was funny. It pulled up writing in sitcoms. I'm not saying it was a brilliantly written show, but it pulled up some comedy. You know, it pulled writing up. You could no longer just have a Facts of Life or a you know, a Family Ties or Growing Pains or Different Strokes. You had to bring it up a little bit. You had to be above good enough. You had to be better. Was it always brilliant? No, but it really pulled up the bar. So that's another reason. Like I said, everybody was so cool. I wanted to be that cool. You know, and you think about these kids, this family had, I mean, they're super successful parents with money, living in a cool place at a cool time. I'm like, totally not how I grew up. And I was like, I just wanted to dress. And I really loved the show. The one, their spinoff,
Different World.
I loved that show. I thought that made it onto my, you know, what is it?
Your honorable mention list.
Yeah, my honorable mention list, because I thought that was a great show. That one was the writing on that was way better. So anyway, these are my lists. As you can see, Golden Girls, of course, you know, and Cosby Show. We can all agree on that. But
yeah, those were powerhouse shows for
Yeah.
sure.
The Cosby Show was based on Bill Cosby's stand-up act,
right,
and his real family,
right,
his true family. So he did only have one son, and the rest was daughters. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we have the honorable. So we're going to start with Jim and Tammy's honorable mention and Splitsies page. Splitsies, you guys, means that these were shows that started in the 70s and finished in the 80s, or they started in the 80s and they finished in the 90s. And there's, you know, as far as choosing which shows, I mean, a lot of these were kind of Splitsies shows, but I looked at it like, for me, I chose shows that I thought they were best. Whatever. So like if I picked them in the 70s, it means they were at their best in the 70s. If I chose them in the 80s, it means that they were at their best in the 80s. So anyway, so go ahead, you guys. Tell us about your honorable mention / Splitsies.
We're gonna talk about Elf.
And so my brother Jeff, who I love dearly, Judy, I know you're on. Jeff didn't slow down for a lot when we were kids, but he slowed his ass down for Alf. I don't know why. He loved him some Alf. And he giggled and snorted and all of that. He just loved him some Alf. So I had to put it on my honorable mention page because I laughed with Jeff because Jeff was laughing so damn hard. It was awesome.
So funny.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's the thing, though. Alf was funny. I thought Alf was funny. I'm like, he was an irreverent and naughty little thing who could get away with what he was getting away with because it's fine. It's a puppet. It's an alien.
Right?
He can say whatever he wants.
It was almost like Ted. It was almost like Ted before Ted, right?
Yes.
The main writer and show creator of Alf was actually a functioning heroin addict.
Of course he was.
I did not know
Yeah.
that.
Not
It
surprising.
makes sense now.
Jerry Stahl was his name. Yeah, was his name. Yeah, and that's
Alf was his demon.
yeah, it was exactly. It was like that was, you know, he was a high functioning heroin addict who was created this show, and I was like, you know, I think we're gonna only get away with that in the 80s, you know?
Yeah, because that show was fucked up. Let's be honest, that show was fucked
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Alf, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He loved cats too, but not like you
Yeah.
guys do.
Exactly.
No, he
He liked
ate
to eat
them. I'm
them.
like, yeah. Judy's with us. This is so Judy Peters is married to Jeff Peters, our alpha addict, and she says, "I'm asking right now, what is his favorite 70s show?" Okay, welcome back, Cotter. That makes sense. And Alf, there you go. That's
Yep.
right.
There it is. Well,
Mhm.
Judy told Jeff that he was a highlight of my childhood. Not that he was just because he was my brother, but man, I always remember that. And I got to say a couple others on our honorable mentions before Tammy jumps in. Mork and Mindy, just the birthplace of the person I think is the coolest person I've ever seen on TV or in movies or on stage. Robin
Juggernaut.
Williams is
Juggernaut.
he is one of
Yeah.
one, and he was one of one then. We all just kind of sat there with our mouths agape going, where did this guy come from? This was unlike anything I've ever seen. And then Taxi, totally underrated.
I love Taxi.
Is
Yeah.
an unbelievable show with a terrific ensemble, and I rarely miss that. I love that show.
Yep.
Indeed.
This one too.
Oh, these are all us. That's right. So Soap was Joe's show.
I
And
actually
Joe's
added
Joe's
Soap.
watching, so he can correct me if I'm wrong. But man, he loved him some Soap. And I put WKRP in there only for one episode. And anybody who
Thanksgiving
ever
episode.
watched it knows exactly what it is. Thanksgiving and the turkey drop. One of the funniest damn things I've ever seen. You mean turkey? You mean turkeys can't fly?
And
Yeah.
then we got the Jeffersons. That came from All in the Family. If you guys don't know the Jeffersons, George Jefferson used to be the next door neighbor. He found success and he moved on up. And he
did.
Great show. Great show. Laverne and Shirley came from Happy Days, another amazing show. Laverne, why can't I think of her name? She was the sister of Penny Marshall.
Penny Marshall.
Yeah.
Genius.
They become an amazing producer,
Genius.
director of movies, a great comic. Loved her, miss her dearly. So that's our honorable mention.
Did you guys know that Lenny and Squiggy had an album?
Yes.
Yeah, a musical.
Yes, I did.
And I owned it at one point. And I really did listen to it, and I wished I still owned it. Lenny
Well,
and the
Michael
Squig
Keane
Tones.
is an amazing musician. I mean, just a great musician, incredibly talented writer.
Who?
David McKeon, who played
Yeah, who
Lenny.
knew,
yeah.
right? Spinal
Yeah,
Tap.
totally.
Spinal Tap, yeah.
Totally. Such a talented actor. Oh my God. And we, of course we know this years later, but again, Spinal Tap, and again, Better Call Saul. He is a wonder in Better Call Saul. So, again, this really great cast, kind of under the radar. But again, you guys, as far as shows that totally jumped the shark, as soon as they left Milwaukee and went to California, it was
Forget
over.
about
Oh, yeah.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you put Milwaukee only. I didn't even think of
Milwaukee.
that.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I
Yes.
forgot about the California episodes. Yeah.
Oh, I try
God,
Rodriguez.
Mickey, good one, man. TC Rodriguez.
Mickey, you're killing it. Way to go. Chai Rodriguez.
Yep, fantastic. So yeah, I would totally agree with your everything on that list. Probably could find a place on the Mount Rushmore. They just
Yes.
they just,
Hard thing was
I
like
think
the Jeffersons was 75 to 85. Mork and Mindy was 78 to 82.
okay.
That one kind of jumped the shark when their very last season was not great. But
When they had a baby or something.
yes,
Oh, boy.
and it was
Yeah.
adult. It was
Shout
Never
out.
Jonathan Winters.
Jonathan
Yeah.
Winters. Yeah.
Never
Okay,
introduced
okay.
children.
Just for the record, the whole thing about Mork from Ork again was another jump the shark moment for Happy Days. Just so fucked up because it was this whole dream sequence with
Yeah.
Richie. And again, you're like, who was tripping balls when they wrote this episode? Because I'm like, this had to be the product of either shrooms or LSD or heroin
Yeah.
or something. Because
Yeah.
what the actual fuck is this? And I knew that when I was 7 or 8
Exactly.
watching this episode. I'm like, this is not right.
This is just, and only one human could have pulled it off.
Yeah.
Only one
Yeah.
guy.
Honestly.
Unreal.
It's because of that
True
performance
that.
that they got Mork and Mindy. So
Yeah, totally. It's like off of one weird ass Happy Days episode, you
Yeah.
get, like 7 seasons of
Right.
of Mork and Mindy.
yeah.
Okay, here we go. We're getting some static from another Peters son
boy.
from the second born of Jim and Tammy. It's
Oh,
Jeremy
boy.
Peters. Who are the nerds in the bottom?
Well,
Well,
sorry.
That's your mama and your daddy.
I was gonna say it's the pattest familialists.
Go
That's
to bed.
right.
Shame on you.
That's right. Take a shower.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah.
Moonlighting, great show.
We're gonna get to that. The good news is, Mickey, we'll be doing a Generation Expert episode in the coming months that specifically deals with 70s and 80s hour-long series because you can't lump them together. So
Oh, and do they have to
don't
be
worry,
comedies?
we'll
Are they
get
going to
there.
be comedies? Can they be nightly soap operas like Dallas and?
We're just saying hour-long, whatever. It could be a
Okay.
comedy, it could be Dallas, it could be Knots Landing, whatever you want to talk about.
Oh, Knots
because
Landing. Oh,
I know.
yeah.
I know. He says the nerds who raised me. Yes. All right. Judy says have to add Bob Newhart shows.
Yes.
Oh, good
Oh, you know
one.
what?
Yes, you're
I
absolutely
wanted
right.
to talk about the Bob Newhart show because in the 70s he had the Bob Newhart show, and in the 80s he turned it into just the Newhart show or just
Okay,
Newhart.
let's be clear that the last episode of the Newhart show is the most brilliant episode ever.
Because he
The
wakes
end
up,
of that.
Yes.
Where he wakes up in bed with his wife from the 70s is
Yes.
genius.
Yes. I meant to mention that. I completely forgot. Yeah.
Hey,
Fantastic.
Jen, I know you didn't have a lot of sex in your dorm room, but did you at least play Bob once or twice?
No.
You never played Bob. You had to drink.
Nope.
You had to drink a beer every time they said Bob, which was like
Oh,
1,000 times an episode.
I was a little worried about where that was going.
For those of you who are just tuning in.
No, I am. You guys, I 4.0 my freshman year of college, which means I only did my drinking with the theater crew and only on Fridays. Okay, maybe a Saturday, but yeah, I was. It was probably into my sophomore junior year before I really started figuring out that I could have fun in college and still get, like a 3.7. It was fine.
I did not have a 4 my freshman year. I did not.
You did not what?
I did not have a 4.0 my freshman year.
Oh. So we know what you were doing.
Yeah,
Ann was bobbing.
That's
on
already
stuff.
been
Okay,
covered.
anyway.
Yeah, I did not.
Let me just say that I was terrified that I was going to flunk out and have to go back to Sturgis, Michigan, and live there for the rest of my life. So let's just say I had a fire under my ass to not have to go back to Sturgis, Michigan. Okay,
I was also afraid that I'd flunk out and end up back in Sturgis, Michigan. But I thought, well, I might as well do everything I need to do now before I flunk out and end up back in Sturgis.
Well, the next time we're all together, Duncan supplies the beer and we play a rousing game of Bob.
Excellent.
You're odd.
Love it.
All right. Ann, you want to take us? We've got a few. We are crawling over the hour mark, so we're going to try and wrap things up here. Ann, you want to talk about our honorable mentions?
I just Laverne and Shirley, of course, definitely before Milwaukee. Welcome Back, Kotta. That almost I actually took that off my list and put something else on. The Brady Bunch. I watched that in reruns. It's iconic. That's why the Jeffersons, Good Times, Sanford and Son. These are all things that made other people's, Mount Rushmore list. Family Ties, Cheers, A Different World. I kind of talked about that. Night Court. I watched a lot of Night Court. That show was it was bizarre and funny.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then,
Forgotten.
Designing Women. That was another show that I thought was quite. Had a lot to say in the 1980s when we weren't saying very much in the 1980s. So they pushed. They pushed the envelope more than a lot of politically and socially. They pushed the envelope a lot more than most shows in the 80s would dare to. And it's funny because compared to the 70s, they were tame, but for the 80s, they were definitely pushing the envelope. So I thought that should get an honorable mention. So those are my honorable mentions.
That's cool.
I love to
Nicely done.
Hey,
Jeremy
Jeremy, get off Google.
Are you accusing your son of using the Wikipedia to find this fun fact?
Go ahead and bet just about everything I've got that he didn't ever hear about the show Newhart before just now.
Okay.
But he just went Cliff Clavin on us and said, yeah. Did you know that the ancient Mesopotamians? Way to go, Jeremy.
Oh, awesome.
Mickey says Designing Women, watch it all before the departure of Delta Burke and Jean Smart. Yeah, again, Jean Smart, talent pool.
Smart.
What can you say?
Yeah.
Indeed. Woo. Okay, you guys, I'm going to start wrapping this up because we have exhausted ourselves. For those of you that stayed with us and have been with us, well done. You've spent an hour or more learning things about stuff. In this case, you learned specifically about all this great stuff about 70s and 80s sitcoms. If you're a Gen Spurt or a millennial, now's the time for you to go onto the YouTube or your streaming services and start checking some of these things out where you can be like, Why did they think this was funny? I don't
Time
get
well
it.
spent.
Yeah.
Time
Totally.
well spent.
That's
Or
totally
you'll
right.
get it and you'll know something about the people in your lives. You can
Mhm.
have this discussion when we're all old and you're like, what do I talk to my parents about? I'm like, you can talk to them about Sanford and Son, and they can, something that you can bond with. It's nice.
Mhm.
So anyway, we want to give a huge special thanks to our Gen experts, Jim and Tammy Peters, for bringing it. You guys are the best. I love talking to you guys. Right
Thank
on.
you so very much. You make
Thank
us
you for
feel
having
more
us.
fortunate.
You guys, we have to start talking about Thanksgiving because it's
Oh, yeah, we
July.
do.
Thanksgiving
Gobble,
will
gobble.
actually be here tomorrow. So there
Yes,
you
we
go.
will.
Indeed. And remember, people, we want to hear from you. Here's Mickey telling us that we've done well done. Thank you for staying with us, Mickey. I
Thank
know
you,
Joan's got it
Mickey.
forever. So remember, we want to hear from you. Answer our poll questions. Give us your questions, concerns, comments, and
Confessions.
confessions. That's right. We
Mhm.
want to hear from you.
I
We
gave
want to
you
know
one of
what's
my
going.
confessions today about Jones and Goddard. So feel
As
free
did
to give us
I.
yours.
Yes, and confessed about her virtue, as did I. Just different scales of virtue. We're on different sides of the virtue coin, if you want
Now
to
you
call it
know.
that. But anyway,
Now
now
you
you
know.
know.
As my
If you
mom
didn't
used
know,
to say, Jenny's not sophisticated and Anne's not a lady.
yes, quote.
Quote, quote.
Uh,
Bye,
Judy,
bitches.
bye to you too.
Bye,
So,
Judy.
peace. Bye, bitches. Bye, bitches, indeed. All right. So, one more time, you guys. Yeah, you can support us by subscribing to us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Like us. Do all that stuff tell your people to like us, even if they don't really want to watch or listen to us. Just tell them to like us anyway. We're just trying to gather support so that we can quit our jobs one day and just do this for a living and be influencers that
Ooh.
influence nothing. So there you go.
Yeah, but we'll
All
be
right.
on.
Indeed. Make sure you join us next week because it's the long-awaited episode, you guys. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. Our review with entertainment expert Chip Maley of Twisters. That's right, the long-awaited sequel to the 1996 hit Twister. So get there. I'm going to turn on our music and get us out of here.
Bye, guys.
There it is. That's the music.
Oh,
You guys-
Jenny, you're going in and out again, so I will take us out. Jim and Tammy, thank you so very much.
Thank
And
you.
until then, I'm with Janice Brothers and I'm Ann Brothers, and we want you to get out there and do something smart, do something dumb, do something fun. We're out of here. Bye.
Hey.
Bye,